Hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Weighing Room, where today I'm joined by the rest of the Weighing Room team, the ever-present Frankie Foster and Paul Callaghan, and we're ready to find some winners across this weekend's action on ITV Racing. Chaps, how are we? Frankie, we were just talking off air. You were at Cartmel at the weekend. How was that?
Yeah, good fun. I had a travelling week. Carlisle on the Wednesday, which is about as north as you can go while still being in England. Decent food there, the old Cumberland sausages, and then Cartmel on the Sunday, I think it was, for some sticky toffee pudding. So I did a lot of travelling and a lot of eating and some decent racing. It was good fun.
Lovely stuff. And Paul, how was your week?
Yeah, flying, good. Looking forward to the weekend. Not lacking in quality, but if we get anything half as decent as we had last weekend, we should be in for a treat.
Well, yeah, like you said, we're going to go through all the races on ITV this weekend. We're going to come up with our selections. And of course, the big race of the afternoon on Saturday is the Coral Eclipse. Only 6 runners now. We look to be a cracker at the anti-post stage, but still quite a good race. And also at Haydock, we've got the Lancashire Oaks Group 2 that looks the highlight at Haydock. Right, we'll get into it then, lads, and we'll start with the 1350, the Group 3 Coral Charge, over 5 furlongs from Sandown. Paul, we'll start with yourself. Who do you fancy in this one?
I quite like the chances of Equilateral for Charles Hills and Kieran Schumacher. I thought ran a cracker to finish 5th in the King's Stand at Ascot earlier in the month. If none the worse from that, and reproducing that run and being able to build on it, I think he has a serious chance here. Slight concern would be his last 3 victories have all come in Maidan. His last home victory was at Doncaster back in September 2019. So that would be a slight concern. But at around about the 11-2 mark, I'd be happy to get involved. Of the others, I think Arecibo is better than what he's shown thus far. But Robert Cowell just hasn't he just hasn't got running this season yet, has he? He's kind of having a quiet time of it. On Arecibo's best form, he may be able to nick a place. He's around about the 9-1 mark. But I think Equilateral, if he produces what he did the last day, he should go close.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because, as you said, Arecibo so much better than the form he's shown, but he can throw in a lot of bad races before he throws in the one that you want him to show. So yeah, he's very hard to back. Frankie, are you also Equilateral, or are you looking elsewhere?
I am, yeah, for the same reasons off the back of that King's Stand form. I was looking at the Fav, and yes, Russ Eels beat Dragon Symbol, Tabdeed, King of Stars, which are all horses of note, but Dragon Symbol 23rd of 24 at Ascot, Tabdeed 21 of 26 at Ascot, King of Stars 13 of 20 in the dash. So although these are horses running in top races, the form hasn't really stood up when stepped up from listed to group company, and Equilateral is almost the opposite with a strong 5th in the King's Stand, behind arguably, I'd say, the best sprinter in the world, Nature Strip, at the moment. So I think if, as Paul said, reproducing that form and at an each-way price, I think it's a fairly solid bet to get started.
Well, lads, I'm going to join you. I'm going to make you a hat-trick. We're also going to start together here with Equilateral. I think from exactly what you both said, the 11-2 price mark was the one that caught me. I think if you can have this horse at an each-way price, taking the punt that he's going to hit the top 3, I think it's a cracking bet to start us off. The one I am slightly worried about is Mitzbahi for Roger Varian, but in stall 1, that slightly puts me off that horse, now around 3-1. It's just Varian's absolutely flying over the last 2 weeks. But Equilateral, yeah, to have his first run since March 2021 in that King's Stand Stakes and to run on into 5th, I thought was cracking. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And I thought after that, he's going to strip absolutely much fitter. I don't care, he's a 7-year-old. He still retains all his ability. And I thought, yeah, 11-2 mark, Equilateral was a cracking bet to kick us off. So we're going to go over to Haydock for the next race, and it's the 1405 Bet365 Handicap Stakes, a Class 2 event, over 1 mile 6. Frankie, who do you like in this one?
I'm going to stick with the Fav here, James. It's a tricky one, this. A lot of these horses are all stepping up in trip. Well, not all of them, but plenty of them are stepping up in trip. Plenty have gone up in the weights from the handicapper, and Seeking is probably the one that's just stood out as having the most in hand, potentially. Gone off odds on favourite the last twice, has won both of those fairly comfortably, and probably could handle another hike in the weights and another hike in the distance and the class. So as I said, most of them are on the upward curve. Seeking, I think, is the one that's had the most in hand so far.
Yeah, Sea King was very interesting. Maybe not to myself now at around 11 to 4, but everyone knows Sir Mark Prescott. You know, Sir Mark Prescott, the way he makes his money is bringing horses like this along and being much better than what the handicap marks are. And you still look at Sea King off a mark of 92 and might be much better than that still. I do slightly worry off stall 1 if he doesn't get out straight away. He could be in a bit of a cluster and find it hard to get round horses. But yeah, Sea King, he does look like a typical Sir Mark Prescott that's just going to keep improving, and he's got every chance. But for me, 11 to 4 looks a bit skinny now. Paul, who are you going for?
Yeah, I'd agree. As Sea King, not for me at the prices. I think it's the biggest field he's encountered. It's only a 6 start. He won a couple of small field races, 5 runner and 7 run race, but like has the credentials of a typical Sir Mark horse, you know, going into handicaps, and you just don't know where the improvement's going to stop. But I just think there could be a bit of value to be had elsewhere, and I quite like at the minute the second choice in the betting as we're looking at it, Duty Bound from the Andrew Balding stable. David Probert on board. Now Duty Bound made his first start over 1 mile and 6, a winning one at Sandown last time out. He was 3rd at the moment. At the time of recording, the going at Haydock is soft, and it can get quite soft there in comparison to other tracks. Now Duty Bound was 3rd on soft ground at Nottingham last November in a race won by Walk of Stars. This is only his 5th career start, and I think he has every chance of following up that last time out success here. So it's Duty Bound for me.
Yeah, Duty Bound was one I looked at for Andrew Ball and the Queen, but the one I landed on was the Tom Ward trained Double Cherry. Looks a really nice 3-year-old for the yard, seen 4 times in his career to date. Once the juvenile last term, when always looking to need further. I think he ran over 9 furlongs that day on soft ground at Goodwood, and I just think he needed a bit further. If you look at him now, he's matured much more as a 3-year-old. Made his seasonal debut at Newbury, up to 11 furlongs, finished a fair 6th in quite a smart race that saw Natural World, Ottoman Fleet, Lionel come out that race, so it was quite a strong form race. Went back to 10 furlongs next time out, was 3rd in the maiden stakes. But gave the best run in his career last time out on handicap debut and easily beating a fair field over 12 furlongs. I thought he pulled out quite a lot of the line. If you watch it back, he won by 3 lengths going away. I think the extra 2 furlongs would be absolutely no problem. If the weather suggests that on the Saturday morning, Haydock's going to get some rain, so any rain that falls, I don't think Double Cherry will mind at all looking at his form on softish ground. Currently 11 to 1 mark. I was happy to play Double Cherry in this race for myself. So back to Sandown. And the only handicap we're going to cover from Sandown at the Esher track on ITV this weekend is the Coral Challenge over 1 mile. Paul, we'll start with yourself for this one. Who did you come down on?
Lion Tower gets the tentative nod here. Lion Tower comes in. There's question marks over quite a few of these, and at least Lion Tower comes in here. He recorded his 7th victory at York last time out. That was over 7 furlongs. He has won and finished 2nd over the mile, so the 8 furlongs here shouldn't be a problem. He's on a career mark of 93, so he probably will need to improve on his best form. But at least, you know, looking at the field, he comes here in good form, and I think Lion Tower should run well.
Yeah, Lion Tower backed him from 10 to 1 to 11 to 2 already, so a bit of money come for the Grand Tour horse, and maybe more to come with obviously Sinjari at the top of the market 9 to 4. Frankie, who did you land on in this one?
Yeah, well, listeners wouldn't know, but my jabbering on about check and challenge has just been cut out. I was getting carried away. I was eager. I was talking about it at Haydock. But 225 Sandown, check and challenge. I just can't ignore these. They don't always work out when you get a young, up-and-coming horse in a handicap. Sometimes it's too obvious to be true, but Buick's on board. This horse ran in the Guineas. It only carries 9 stone 5. I just couldn't ignore it. And I went and watched that Guineas run back. Absolutely no luck in running. Squeezed out, then playing bumper cars between 2 horses. Jockey pretty much said enough's enough, sat on it on the way home. So on bare form, a second last in the Guineas is not all that this horse is capable of. And it's won already over the mile on the all-weather. It'll get the trip. And yeah, it's just one that I couldn't ignore. May or may not play off, but play 6 to 1 each way. Buick's on board. I'll take my chances.
Yeah, Frankie, I'm going to join you here for very similar reasons. 6 to 1, 13 to 2 at the moment. I thought it was quite a bold move from William Knight to put him in this, like as a 3-year-old. You see, it's quite a lot of race for older horses who've got experience in handicaps. But he could just be the class angle, couldn't he? Currently off 9 stone 5 or 108 in the ratings. He won twice before going into the 2000 Guineas, and look, you're right. The Guineas, he ran no race at all. That's not his true showing. It was his second run of the season off the back of winning at Newcastle in a listed race. He's obviously a very smart type. They obviously think a lot of him, and he might just be chucked in here just to see how good he could be. And yeah, 13-2. I'm happy to play check and challenge each way, and hopefully he's better than his Guineas showing. And obviously that Guineas hasn't turned out too bad with Native Trail winning, with Caribus winning, and others running nice races. So yeah, check and challenge for myself as well, and hopefully he can go and do the business. So back over to Haydock, and Haydock's feature race of the afternoon is the Group 2 Lancashire Oaks. And this year's looks a bit wide open to me. Frankie, we'll start with you. Where'd you start with this? Because even though it's a nice race, there's a lot of horses that we've seen before that have in the past took each other on, or some that haven't. I mean, just don't know where their ability lies or finishes.
It is very tricky, isn't it? I mean, both of what we're looking at, Haydock, the 205 and the 240, are both very, very tricky. And I'm going to keep them both straightforward and go with the favs in each of them. Free Wind, I think, although it was over 1-6, to win the way that she did, almost kind of cruise, push the button, see you later, 7 lengths clear and ease down, against horses that Golden Pass, yes, have both gone on to running group races since. Okay, they haven't placed, but they were still in the mixer. I think to do that to horses of decent quality could just be too classy for this road. And I know it's over short, but if the similar thing happens where they are just all kind of cruising along and Free Wind gets the opportunity to just push that button and kick, I think it will be a case of trying to catch her. So yeah, Free Wind for me with that turn of foot.
Yeah. Free Wind, it's one of them, like you look at the top of the market, she's 9-4. She hasn't been seen since that run in September when she actually bolted up at Doncaster. She could be something just a bit special, couldn't she? But when you haven't seen her and you see her at the top of the market, you almost want to take her on. Paul, what's your feelings on this one?
I think, yeah, Free Winds at the current prices could represent a bit of value. But I'm going to look to, she's around about the 9-4 mark. I'm going to look to take her on with Sila Rosa, who was quite keen when scoring on seasonal reappearance. And for the reasons that she won on seasonal reappearance, the Haggis team generally leave a little bit to work on. So regardless of the results on seasonal reappearance, and indeed the stable's debutants, the runner should always improve. So she will need to improve to take this. Testing ground is an unknown, so that's an obvious concern. But I think if she handles conditions, I think she should be thereabouts at the end. So it's Sila Rosa at a bit of a price for me.
Yeah, currently around 6-1. And like you say, Haggis' horses always come on for the run. Course and distance winner. Looks a solid shout if she'll handle that ground. Well, my selection will definitely handle the testing ground. And it's a horse I tipped up on seasonal debut and probably got it wrong. She probably needed that run. But Ashada for myself. The 4-year-old filly, she was highly touted last season to be quite a special filly, and at the end of the season she proved everyone right by going on to win Group 1. She ran once as a juvenile in November 2020. She got off the mark in Nottingham and that looked quite impressive. Made her first start as a 3-year-old last term. She picked up where she left off, landed the Harass de Buka Top fillies at stakes. It's hard to pronounce. Imagine trying to say that when you've had a few drinks. Then sent through a last stop behind Loving Dream that day in the Group 2 Ribblesdale Stakes. And then she was sent to the Yorkshire Oaks. They obviously think she was quite a nice horse, but she was last to 7 that day. Good ground went against her. She's definitely a horse that needs juice. And she was given a bit of time after that and went into the Group 1 Champions, Fillies and Mares Stakes at Ascot in October. And like I said at the start, she went on to win that quite nicely. And again, it was good to soft ground, and she absolutely lapped it up. She ran once this season in the Group 3 Al Rain Stakes. Again, good ground, not what she wanted, only beat one home. She gets good to soft ground on Saturday. My only slight worry against in stall 1, but I think she'll be held up anyway, so I think it'll be no problem just to go into the pack and then get a clear run. And like I said when I was talking about that Mick Barhi in the other race, the first race of the day at Sandown, Roger Varian is absolutely flying at the moment for the last 2 weeks, 32% strike rate. He hasn't been in the best of form all season, but he seems to be hitting a bit of a peak time at the moment. And I'm happy to play Ashada, currently around 4-1, 7-2 in the market. I'm happy to give it another go, definitely on this type of ground. So back over to Sandown, listed Coral Distaff over a mile, another race over a mile at Sandown. Paul, your selection in this one, please.
Yeah, Heredia is unbeaten, was a good winner of the Sandringham last time out, and at the moment tops the market around 11 to 8, 6 to 4. But if you're looking to take the favourite on, I think Heredia is going to be difficult to beat if she turns up in the same form. But evidently that bubble, you'd imagine, will have to burst at some stage. And if you're looking to take the favourite on, I think Oscula is a possible good alternative here. Oscula won a listed event at Carlisle last time out, was beaten round about a length by Ever Given the time before and finishing second at Epsom, trained by the informed George Bowie team. William Buick takes them out. So as a possible alternative, if you are looking to take on the favourite Heredia, I'm with Oscula.
Yeah, Heredia was a bit of a talking horse going into Ascot, obviously running the Sandringham, running handicaps, and I think a lot of people in and around the yard, like punters that want to have a little go, were saying this is a group horse. This horse is much better than a handicap, and it went on to be absolutely right. Heredia went on to win, even though she only won by 11. The horse back in second, probably not, and the horse back in third, probably not a handicap horse either. They're probably better than that. And Heredia won well that day. Currently around 6 to 4 in the market. I'm happy to take her on. Look, you're right. The bubble's got to burst at some point. She still might be good enough to take this, but I really like Grand Dame for John Thady Gosden. 3-year-old daughter of Lope de Vega. Been seen 3 times to date. Made an emphatic debut over a mile at Ascot when seen off the likes of Mukaddama and Eternal Pearl. Eternal Pearl came out, I think it was Wednesday, and got off the mark and was behind nice horse at Goodwood as well. Sent to York after that and listed Oak Farm Stables Filly Stakes. She was just beaten by the Kevin Ryan trained Fontaine. Look, I personally thought that day that Frankie got it a bit wrong on her. I think Grand Dame was very unlucky not to win that race at York, and I just think with a slightly better ride, she might have gone on to win that. She was upped in class last time out in the Group 1 Coronation Stakes at Royal Ascot. When last seen, she ran no race at all. She beat one home. Group 1 maybe is not her level, but back into listed level now. It might be tough to beat Heredia, but I'm just happy to take the 10 to 3 against the 6 to 4 to maybe see if the bubble will burst. And I do think Grand Dame could have quite a nice career. And Ryan Moore in the saddle, he's rid brilliant all season. So, yeah, I'm happy to play Grand Dame. Frankie, for yourself?
Kind of the opposite to Paul in the sense that Oscula definitely needs a mention. Paid for some beer money actually when I was up in Carlisle, back to a bit of a sweet spot there for me, and that was the other horse I was looking at. But I'm going to stick with Heredia. I think if you look at that handicap at Ascot, the thing that stands out for me, there's no horse in the top 5 that is a kind of sneaky one running off a low market. Every horse in the top 5 carries over 9 stone, and there's only 1 out of 28 runners outside the top 5 carrying over 9. So I think you look, and as you said, Zambat, Cronelli, these are horses that aren't necessarily handicaps. And I think you've got a real truly ran, handicap there with the best horses on ratings, the ones that were carrying the most weight, all competing in the top 5. You didn't have a sneaky winner that had come out of nowhere. And I think off of that form with solid horses in behind her that day, now I know it's not a handicap, but carrying 9-2 in a listed, I think she's definitely the one to beat. And can back up that form. Yes, unbeaten, but I don't see this as the obvious race to get a beat. So I'm going to stick with the Fav.
Yeah, absolute strong favourite. Just from myself, I just think even though this horse for yourselves can go on and be a group horse, should be winning listed races, hasn't gone on to do it yet. And until I've seen that, and I really think that she's good enough to go and do it in those races. This probably is not the strongest race in the world, but with Grand Dame already winning a listed race, running in Group 1, yes, probably there's no form really in only beating one home. I've probably just at the price want to take her on. But look, I'm happy to be proven wrong. This is a race where I think the top 3 in the market, like you said, Frankie, I can't see anything else beyond that that's going to go and pull out something special. I just think the top 3 in the market are very hard to look past. And it's really take your pick out of them. And it probably still at 6 to 4 might be a bit of value for some people if they're thinking already is that good a horse. So the trickiest events for myself on ITV on Saturday comes from Haydock. The last race on ITV from Haydock. And it's the Old Newton Cup, a really tricky handicap. Looks a tough race to call, Frankie. Go and find the winner.
Yeah, very hard. This would be a tentative selection. I'm going to go with Danny Tudhope. To keep kicking on. We're talking about Ascot, and rightly so. A lot of these horses have gone up against each other in various forms at Ascot. And I was just kind of looking on ratings here. I mean, you've got Trawlerman out of the couple at the top, the only one that's going to retain a mark of 98 after a pretty disappointing run. But I mean, the Fab's gone up £7 for winning a Class 2 at York. Liverpool Knight's gone up £6 for winning a Class 4 at Windsor. Get Shirty, yes, up £6, but so are the other two horses I mentioned, off the back of a win at Ascot. Cleveland in behind, who I think is a very decent horse. Danny Tugboat on board. And if you actually look at what the horse is carrying, carries 9.8 today, carried 9.6 at Ascot when winning. So there's not a huge difference in the actual weight that the horse is going to carry. Obviously, there's a difference in ratings and what it's going up against. But with a lot of these horses going up in the weights and the handicap, I think Get Shirty retains the best form, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, Get Shirty absolutely ran a cracker, didn't he, at Ascot in the couple horse handicap stakes, and around 10-1 mark definitely represents some value. Paul, for yourself?
I'm with Inchicore here for Alan King and Ross Ryan. I think Inchicore made it 3 victories from 11 starts at Goodwood last time out. That was on good to soft ground. Her other 2 victories came on soft and heavy. She's got a handy weight here of 8 stone 13. Her form is solid. She's pretty consistent. I think if soft remains in the going description, I can't see Inchicore finishing out of the placings here. I think she has to go close. If they're soft in the going description, Inchicore will be on the premises, I think, come the business end.
Yeah, big price, 18-1. And I'm going to follow you in, not with the same horse, but with a filly in the field against the boys. I'm going to go with something enticing for Andrew Balding. And I think this horse, off a mark of 95, could just be on a little handy mark, currently around the 14-1 mark. Fairly consistent throughout her career, managed to place in 8 of her 13 events, going on to win 3 of them. She really made a name for herself at the back end of last season when landing an 18-runner handicap at York off a mark of 80. She was then sent to Doncaster on soft ground and was a close second in a big fielded listed event. Seen twice this term, she needed a first run at Kempton in the Rosebery handicap at Kempton. Last time bounced back to form and second behind Third Realm in the listed Tapster Stakes at Goodwood, where I thought was quite a good run. Like yours, Paul, the key to this horse is soft ground. I think if that is in the going description, I'd like to see her chances at 14-1. And I think it's just all about a bit of juice in the ground for this horse. And I'm glad we've all taken on the favourite, really, because if the 13-8 favourite goes and wins, you just say fair play, no problem. But in a field like this, I think the value probably strikes to take the favourite on, even though off a marker 101 Garcia could be even better than that. We don't know. But when you've got so many different runners and so many different angles, I think to play against the field like the 13-8 with what we've got 10-1, 16-1, and 18-1. I think they've all definitely got each way shouts in the race. So it's good to see that. So the big race of the afternoon on ITV and in the UK, and it could have been one of the races of the season if they all stayed in, but it's still going to be the highlight of the day is the Group 1 Coral Eclipse Stakes. Seen some cracking winners in the past like Enable, Gaia. Currently, at the moment, I'll just read you through the odds. We've got at the top of the market, Bedeni over from France with Christophe Soumillon, 13-8. Native Trail looking to go up to 1 mile 2, 11-4. Bay Bridge 4-1. Mishrif 8-1. Alan Kerr 7-2. And Lord North at 20-1 outsider. Paul, we'll start with you. Who do you fancy?
I'm with the French horse. Oh, I think we could see something a bit special here. Vedeni, who won his last 2. He was very impressive last time out in Group 1 company. Ground, you could say, like most of his running has been done on soft ground, but when you go through his form, his debut victory at the test was on good ground. It's a big call. Like Connections have forked up 50 grand. Christophe, I'm going to guess, got off on the last day and said, John Claude, we need to have a look at the Eclipse here. 50k up front. Now, the call's been done. It's a big call by Connections. So I think we might just see something special here. So Bedeni for me.
Yeah, but Denny obviously getting away off a lot of the field, 8 stone 13 with the older horses, 9 stone 9. Frankie, for yourself?
Yeah, I feel like you kind of got a pre any selection you make against the favourite here with the phrase "it might well go and win." I think it's a curse, isn't it? When you look through the cards, you try and be clever sometimes when you don't need to be. And Paul might have it absolutely bang on there, and 13-8 may look value after the race, but I am going to try and be clever and try and take the favourite on. I got kind of sucked into that race at the Curragh, where Alan Kerr beat. Lord North goes in this. Who else? Is it just the Lord North in this? Yeah, we had obviously High Definition in there. State of Rest that went and won, beating Bay Bridge, who goes in this. Broome, who won at Ascot as well. And I was kind of looking at that. And I think the best horse on the day, maybe that day, was State of Rest. Who just got there slightly late. And then if I kind of, maybe I'm trying to make a case out of nothing here, but you kind of combine that with the comments of Joseph O'Brien saying the target was always Ascot. And then the great ride that State of Rest got that day to win at Ascot, I think made Bay Bridge look a little bit worse than what he is. And I think that Bay Bridge shouldn't be discounted as, it was a hype horse and got beat at Ascot. I don't think that's the case at all. I think Bay Bridge is a top-class horse, got done a little bit from a great ride. Again, got there a little bit late, and Ryan Moore probably be looking for redemption here. So I'm going to stick with Bay Bridge once more. And again, you don't know how much improvement is left in Bay Bridge. There may be some more yet to come.
Yeah, it's been really tough for me, this race, because I love Bay Bridge, as you know. We'll be talking about in podcasts before Ascot and at Ascot. But I've had to jump off him here.
Don't give up hope, James.
I know. Native Trail, I'm a massive fan of Native Trail from his 2-year-old and now in his 3-year-old career. Videni, obviously, what a cracking run last time out. I don't know much about the horse apart from that. Obviously running in France, but like you said, Paul, this could just turn out to be a bit of a freak. But the one I've gone with, and I went from an anti-post angle each way around 10-1 with William Hill, I think it was, as an anti-post when there was 11 runners in the field. Now only 6. My placing at the moment looks quite good. Alan Kerr around 17-2. I still think represents a bit of value in the field. Like you were saying, Frankie, from that race at the Curragh in the Tattersall's Gold Cup, High Definition obviously ran well. State of Rest's come out and won. Broome's come out and won. It's not a bad piece of form, is it? And I just think this horse could just go from the front, staying further than the 1 mile 2, and say, "Come and catch me." Look, the horses behind him might be better than Alan Kerr on the day, and say, "Yeah, no problem, we'll come and catch you. We'll go past you." But I think he could go from the front and just stay and go on to win this race. A course and distance winner as a 3-year-old when taking the Group 3 Classic Trial, and just his 3rd start. He went on to beat Derby winner Adayar and Breeders' Cup Turf winner Yabir. Stepped up to 1 mile 4 after that. He then went to take on the Group 2 King Edwards, the 7th Stakes at Royal Ascot. And his 3 other runs that term, he placed in the Grand Prix de Paris, Jubbon International, but then ran no race in the Arc when touted to go and run better than he did. He saw off Lord North on his first run this term at Lingfield in the Group 3 Derby Stakes. And then off the back of that went to Maidan, but was only 6th at 6 of 15. Lord North reversed the form, but that's a race Lord North quite likes in the Dubai Shiva Classic. Seen once more this term, like we said, at the Curragh. The form's worked out brilliantly from that race. He's almost been missed Ascot to be safe for this. 17-2 currently in the market. I think he represents a bit of value, and I just think there is a slight angle there with him. But like I say, I'm happy to be wrong. This is an absolutely cracking race. Even those 6 runners, like we haven't even mentioned Mishriff. That horse is absolutely superb for what he's done during his career. And even Lord North at 2020, if he bounces back to the form he's shown previously, he could go and run an absolutely huge race. So it's a fascinating renewal, even though there's 6 runners. I think if the likes of Real Worlds and the others that have dropped out went on, so I think Dubai Honor was in the race, it's also not in it. If they went on to run, this could have been, I think, the race of the season. But yeah, for myself, Alan Kerr at 17-2. So lads, that's all the races covered on ITV. Only the 7 we're going to do with Haydock and Sandown offering the best cards. All I need from you now is your naps, please, for the Saturday. And Paul will give you the honour this time.
Well, I think Vidani will win, but at a working man's price, I think Duty Bound will take the beating in the 205 at Haydock for the reasons mentioned. So Duty Bound in the 205 Haydock. And for anyone who follows the Irish racing, keep an eye on Loudest Whisper. There's no prices out at the time of recording, but Loudest Whisper in the 740 at Bellewstown has yet to finish. I touch wood. I hope I'm not putting the mockers on her, but she's yet to finish. Yet to finish out with the first 3 in 9 runs at Bellewstown. She's trained locally by Eamon Delaney, who I'm guessing she was a good second on the flat last time out. I'm guessing Loudest Whisper, it's a meeting that the trainer connections generally target. So just keep an eye. Loudest Whisper, sure to give you a good run for your money in the 740 at Bellewstown Saturday evening.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. We like a bit of Irish angle. Lovely stuff. Thank you.
I don't know. Normally, I'm scratching around for a nap. I'm trying to decide between a few. I'm going to play an acca on the weekend at this rate. I think free wind. I think you've got to look at that last run and just think this horse could be just better than the field here. So free wind, or I mean, both around a similar price. I'd play Heredia as well, but probably free wind would be enough.
Well, I'm going to take you on then. I'm going to take you on. I'm going to go my nap this weekend. I'm going to go for a Sharda. I do really like this horse, and I hope she proves me right. Getting back to softish ground, holding some of the best back form with that Group 1 win last season. Varying in absolutely hot form at the moment. I'll be looking to make it 2 out of 2. The Nats with Westover winning last week in the Irish Derby for myself. So, lads, thanks for all the picks, thanks for all the insight. Hopefully, with the 7 races, we found some winners. I think last week we did quite well. We had some nice placings at big price and also some nice winners between ourselves. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment your selections for the ITV races this weekend. And there's plenty of content floating about the channel with other TD We Meet stuff coming next week, and obviously a show every Thursday from the 3 of us. So, lads, thanks again, and hopefully we found some winners.